The Private Label University, the only show that dares to unlock the secrets to your online selling success so you can start making money and living your dreams.
I wanna be a billionaire so freaking bad.
With over 35 years of sourcing, private labeling, and importing product for the big chain stores and coaching thousands of entrepreneurs, all while building their personal businesses. Let's welcome our Private Label University hosts, the fabulous, lovable, and cutest dynamic duo, Karen and Neil Gwartzman.
So welcome to the Private Label University. We are your hosts, Karen and Neil Gwartzman. This is where we unlock the secrets each week to your online selling success. So don't forget to visit us over on our website at www.privatelabeluniversity.com. We offer a ton of free content there. If you haven't already signed up for our free 5-day boot camp to private labeling, you definitely want to do that right away. And follow our blogs. We have some great blogs, great material, as well as here on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe because we don't want you to miss a thing. So we love to start off each week with an Amazon find. So Neil, why don't you tell us about what we found this week?
So our Amazon find this week is, again, we're going to call it a double-loaded find. There was good things and there was bad things. So as everyone knows, we have two giant dogs. We have two loving St. Bernard dogs, Mozart and George, who always like to be by our side. And we ordered some dog food for them. We find there's some great products available on Amazon in the pet materials and of course pet foods. And we bought something called Wellness Turkey and Duck Stew. The brand is called Wellness. And it's all natural. There is no grains, no wheat, no corn, no soy, no artificial preservatives. There's no extra colorings or flavors. It's all natural.
And it's made in the USA.
And it is made in the USA. And the dogs actually love it. It's a canned product. It looks like, even a Campbell's soup product. Absolutely delicious. It smells good. It seems like it's actually made in Massachusetts, which is great. But the product is very good. Honestly, it's almost like human grade. You can open it up and probably serve it to your kids as
really
a stew,
good,
and they probably never know the difference.
But don't do that.
We don't recommend you do that. But anyways, so we ordered some. Our dogs absolutely love it. We mix it with their dry food. And what happened was we received a shipment, and then we noticed that it was sealed. It came in a great Amazon box, great packaging, it was very secure inside. But when we opened up the sealed product, what considered the factory seal, where the tins it was in bulk, it comes in these trays of 12 jars, that a lot of the jars were dented. And it wasn't just a little dent on the top, but it was actually, it almost looked like they'd been dropped off from maybe 3-4 feet up, off a pallet. Or maybe a pallet jack ran into the side of it, and they were all dented quite a bit. That some of them were actually punctured
and
leaking. So, of course, that is a health hazard. These are cans that are supposed to be 100% sealed and airtight, and here they're breathing because oxygen can get into them. So we of course we call up Amazon. We told them the situation. We said we're happy, we'll put them back in the packaging. And of course they were asking, well, was the box damaged? And we said, no, everything was perfect as far as the packaging. Obviously the factory is packing damaged goods. So maybe every 10 or 20 jars, if they happen to drop off the assembly line, or that someone knocks into them, or a forklift hits them, and they pack them.
Or the third party that was selling it, an Amazon seller, packaged it like that.
Right. So there's quite a few, I guess, scenarios we can look at. Either, like Karen said, it came from a third party who packed it like that. It could be the factory sells off seconds. There's a lot of companies who buy up stock lots of seconds. I've seen it in the soda industry, where companies will buy expired sodas. or expired beers, and then they'll package them and sell them. And it could be where this company, every jar that had a slight blemish or dent, they would sell.
Right, and that's actually what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the whole package, really. What, as an Amazon seller, it is our responsibility to offer that whole package to the customer. So as far as our Amazon find, it's a great find. We love this brand of dog food, the Wellness brand. It's a great, great find. However, just be careful, I guess, who you're buying it from, and making sure that you're checking these cans to make sure that they're not dented or broken, because it is a hazard to your dog. So let's jump into our topic about, that whole Amazon package that we should be giving our clients or Amazon clients when they're purchasing products from us.
Right. So, I like to call it the total package, the total product. From the time that you actually look to find a product and order the product, receive the product and ship the product, and of course receive positive testimonial or reviews for your product, you want to make sure that you're following all the right not just regulations and rules, but the policies and just the proper, what am I looking for, Karen? Protocol. So just like when you walk into a store and you buy something, you expect that when you buy it, you look at it, it looks good, it's in good condition, there's no scars or marring on the product, and then you pay for it. And of course, if you like it, you tell the store, wow, this is a great product. So it's the same thing when you're sourcing and importing a product. It's up to you. It's the seller's responsibility to really make sure that when you, again, buy that product and sell that product, that the customer is going to be happy all the way through. And following that protocol, the process of from the packaging of the product to the labeling of the product to how it's packed in your shipping box, and then, of course, arriving at that customer. And now, I know that there's a lot of people who sometimes will get onto platforms like eBay or not as much on Amazon, a lot more on eBay, where they'll sell slightly scarred or marred products. But it's expected of you that you list that and you say that. And there's nothing wrong with it, as long as, of course, you're not putting anyone in any type of danger or health situation where you're not allowed to do it. It's against regulations to do so. But the idea is that if you are going to sell, let's say you happen to buy boxes, and I've seen this, boxes of Altoids. I see a lot of that on eBay, and the boxes have slight dents on them. Now, the product itself is a dry good. Even though it's a food product, they haven't broken the seal, but they may have a slight dent, or maybe the paint, the printing is not perfect. But when they list it on their Amazon listing, they show it, and they show every 3D side and scope of the product and the packaging, so the person knows exactly what they're getting. They know it has a dent on it, and you say, 3 out of 5 have these dents, and show them. The extra 2 or 3 minutes you might spend taking a few extra pictures will, of course, protect you as the seller in case someone has a complaint against it, and of course then the purchaser, the buyer, knows what they're getting, and that way they don't have any problem with the price. They can't, again, put in a complaint after, because that's what they're getting. And
this applies to a lot more to, I think, retail arbitrage. When you're going out and you're buying a lot of goods or liquidation, making sure that you're looking at the products, and if there are irregularities to the products, doesn't mean you can't sell it. You can still sell it, just make it noted, or just note that in your listing. And the same thing when you're importing stuff, say you're importing stuff from China and you didn't go and check that order, it just came in and it came in damaged. It doesn't mean that it needs to go to waste. It doesn't mean that it has to be thrown away and that you can't sell it on Amazon. If it's still because maybe it was misprinted, or maybe it was a size difference, or maybe, it has irregularities to it, then you can still sell it. Just make sure that you're noting that.
So I want to jump in, Karen, just to talk about, we see a lot of people talking about different programs and courses. We see lots, if you peruse through YouTube, you see all types of people who claim to have a lot of experience in being professionals at importing and sourcing, and they've been doing it. They actually, a lot of times, they don't even tell you how long they've been doing it for. But then after listening to them, they say, well, I brought in one shipment, and from that shipment, I'm going to teach you how to import and source. And you have to be very, very careful when looking at a lot of these self-proclaimed experts or people who are trying to sell you programs where they say, oh, I've been doing this for a while, and a while could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 days, it could be a year. But the idea is, Karen and I, we've been doing this for 35 years. We've imported thousands and thousands of shipments from overseas, not just in China, but all across Asia, including Japan and Taiwan and Singapore and Vietnam and Cambodia. So many, many countries. Malaysia, I've done business with for years. And of course, all across Europe and Mexico and Canada. So, we really have such a broad spectrum of experience in multiple countries. And of course, working with U.S. Customs and Canada Customs for years, we have the experience, and of course, within our team, all the people that have professional experience in doing this. So coming back to what Karen was mentioning, when you're talking about ordering products and knowing what people are doing, be very careful when you see these programs being offered. No matter how cheap they are, the problem is if you pay such a cheap price, you may be getting cheap value because they have no experience.
But also some of these courses are not cheap. Some of them are thousands of dollars.
Tens of thousands of dollars we've seen.
5,000, 10,000.
And these are people who've been doing business for 1 year and they haven't even imported a product. They've actually done arbitrage. Or, if they've said, well, we order everything from importing from China, but they've never even been to China. They don't know the proper etiquette of doing business in China.
They've ordered from Alibaba.
And Alibaba really is just one giant shopping mall in China. Really, of course, it's not a mall where you go to, but that's even what the Chinese people considered. AliExpress and Alibaba is just one giant supermarket where it's almost like a giant eBay for Chinese people.
Yeah,
because you don't necessarily have to be a factory. You could be someone in their home who has too many T-shirts and they want to sell it on Alibaba.
And it doesn't make you a guru by importing from Alibaba, that's for sure.
So getting back to where you're saying products could be damaged.
Right. The point is, to talk about these programs, is we've been approached by a few of these people who claim to be these gurus in the industry who are seeing major problems. That if you were a guru, you shouldn't be getting these major problems.
Correct. I actually we were listening to someone who was trying, of course, to market a program. And again, I assume, and I consider them more of a marketing person, selling a program, again, self-proclaimed expert on importing and sourcing. And what happened was they were actually bringing in a full container. And they talked about in their selling of their program how they were going to bring in poly bags, and they were going to bring in container poly bags, and everything was great. The price was so cheap. He figured at that price, and this is buying it on Alibaba, that he'd be able to easily sell it across the USA and into Canada because his price would be so much lower than anyone else out there. And he went ahead and paid for everything and went through the Alibaba, the trade assurance, and he was, I'm an expert now. I placed my order. I sent the money to China. And then he got the shipment in, and what he failed to do, he said the sample, of course, was perfect. But when the shipment arrived and the container arrived, they were all the wrong size. So you imagine having a full container of poly bags. Poly bags take up a lot of space, and you're talking of millions of poly bags to fill even a 20-foot container. Now, we don't actually know because I didn't see his bill of lading if he actually brought in a full container. It could have been a one pallet that came in on a LCL, a less than container load, that of course where many people have their products on. So it's not your container, it's actually just bringing over a shipment by ocean.
In everyone's container.
In everyone's container.
Everyone shares the container.
When people say I'm bringing a container's worth, is the container arriving to your door? And especially it was a little bit odd because, again, Karen and I have the expertise. We're so accustomed to listening to this. He said he had it delivered to his house. A lot of container companies will not deliver a container to your house. There's rules and regulations about dropping off a container into your house. And so it could have been a pallet they dropped off because, again, think of a little tiny poly bag that you get to fill a container. It's millions of them. So in any case, the point is he got his container of poly bags and it was the wrong sizes. The sample they sent him was good, but the product they shipped him were all in metric sizes. So what he was going to advertise or started to advertise on the online platforms to sell them, he couldn't sell them as exactly the same because they weren't going to fit the listing of products that he said they would fit. So he got stuck with this so-called container of polybags. And he actually, I guess the funny thing was, Karen, he didn't seem that tainted by it. He was like, oh, big deal, I got a container of polybags. Well, I don't know if you can, offload and get rid of a container worth of polybags, but that's a lot of polybags. So again, the point is, here's someone who claimed to be an expert. He didn't go through the proper procedures of ordering and checking the details, which is one thing we're very specific in teaching in our programs.
So Neil, we have an audience listening to us. So how would you guide someone based on this? How could you have prevented this?
Well, the first thing is I'd like to know, if you're buying it on Alibaba, who you're buying it from. Are they actually a factory? Are they a trading company? Or they're an agent? And it's very, very difficult to find the truth. Even if let's say they claim to be a factory and it was an agent, and you say, well, show me pictures of your factory. Well, there's no stopping anyone from their computer, because you don't see them. Even if you're Skyping with him, he walks over to the local factory and says, here, I'm in the factory, and look at all these things. And then he can converse in Mandarin with the factory people. But is it his factory, or is it just some place where he buys from? So the idea is making sure, again, if you're going to do that again, you're going to buy polybags again, let's say, make sure it's from an actual factory. Get the address of the place it's coming from and see if they're actually listed as a registered export company. If they're not listed as a registered export company, then again, you're taking a chance. Then if you're actually going through to buy a full container of polybags, let's say, you want to make sure that you have someone going in to do an inspection. If you're buying a container of polybags, which would be millions of polybags, I want someone to go in and show me how it's packed, each inner box, each master carton, how each master carton is marked. And then I want someone to physically go in, and if it's going to be, let's say, 5,000 boxes of polybags on that container, I need someone to go in and check 10% of it. So they're actually going to spend a day opening 500 boxes, opening the box, opening each one, measuring it, sending you the details by Skype or by any other type of messaging system to show the actual measurements, to show that it's actually what you're ordering and what you're going to pay for. Because the key is here, if you spent that money, you want what you've paid for. So the inspection process, especially in that size of shipment, is a key factor in making sure your product is going to arrive exactly the way you want it to. So following that simple step in the beginning of finding out who it is, where it's coming from, if they've even exported to the USA, and then having someone do a simple inspection, especially when it comes to measurements. You want to make sure that bag, that's a key factor, especially with bags, that it fits and it matches US imperial dimensions as opposed to metric sizes. So that's a simple step that I recommend as a safety factor, and just making it a common procedure for you when ordering.
Great advice. Great advice. I love that. So what if they didn't do that? What advice can you give someone who went through this and didn't do that quality control thoroughly, and now they are stuck with these products that they feel that they cannot now sell? What's the advice you can give them?
Well, you want to get rid of the product. So, I don't want anyone to feel, oh my God, now I'm actually stuck with $10,000 worth of polybags and I'll never be able to sell it. So the key here is, and of course, this is, I think, a common thing, what's on a lot of online platforms, whether it be Amazon or eBay, especially on eBay, it now becomes arbitrage. It's an arbitrage product. It's a product that you still have to sell. And don't feel bad. Don't think, oh my God, I'm going to sit with these. You now have to develop your keen senses of selling the product. Just as you purchase that product, it's up to you now to still make a profit and sell the product. So the first thing I would do is I would think, okay, now I have to change all the listings. Immediately go into your eBay site or your Amazon site and make the changes. If you actually have to pull those items, on eBay, of course, you can easily make the changes. You can make the changes to the variations. Spend that extra few hours. That extra few hours will in turn you'll be able to get a good ROI on what you ordered. So the key is making sure you're going to get your return on your investment, and turning it into an arbitrage product. So you're going to advertise what you have, you're going to put all the key dimensions, and you're going to show the positive aspects of that product. Oh, it fits metric sizes. We order this specifically for people that are importing products from Europe and from Asia and from Canada. The rest of the world, other than North America, they use metric. So, polybags and metric sizes are a valuable item. Call up the other polybag distributors, companies, mercantile companies that actually sell tons of polybags to the industry. Since you paid such a low price and since you felt it was such a good price, obviously you did your homework, now you have the opportunity to sell it to those companies. Get rid of it. Even if you get your money back from all your costs, at least you're getting the return on your investment.
So take that negative and turn it into a positive. We want you to know that the Private Label University was made for you, for the entrepreneur. So if you're ready to release that entrepreneur in you, spend more time with your loved ones, and ready to start making some serious money doing what you love to do, then join us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have tons of information that we want to share with you. We entrepreneurs, we need to band together. We need to support each other. There's enough success to go around. So how much more fun would it be if we can do it together? So don't forget, subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.
I wanna be a billionaire so freaking bad.
Thank you for joining Karen and Neil Gortzman, the Private Label University, the only show that dares to unlock the secrets to your online selling success so you can start making money and living your dreams. Remember to visit us over at www.privatelabeluniversity.com for tons of free content. While you're there, leave us a message and we'll air your comments and questions on the show. The dynamic duo, Karen and Neil, are now signing off.